Morning, everybody. Welcome to another Random Code stream. I'm going to continue working on making AutoDeconstruct a source generator that does its stuff using for attribute with metadata name. And as you can see by the title, this has been taking me a while, taking me longer than I expected, but that's also not atypical. You come up with ideas, you work on stuff, and you realize all the corner cases and things that you need to work on. So I've got some time this morning. Let's get the background music going. And I want to try to get through as much of this as I can because I really want to, I'm also now getting to the point where I really want this feature to be done. So we're going to do one real simple here. And this is one that I have. This is a visitor. And by the way, just real quick, if you don't know what this is, in .NET, you can have deconstruct methods. So you can deconstruct a type into its constituent parts, and how those parts are is up to you to define. And you do those through methods that are named deconstruct. And so this one will automatically add one for you based on the number of accessible properties that you have. So anyway, this is a visitor that I use that if you want to basically put an attribute at the assembly level, I want to visit every type that you have defined. But what I don't know is if get members will also get nested type members. So let's actually create a test for that. Generated assembly level. We'll say at nested type level. And so we have a class here, test, but what we really want to do is take it off of here, and we want to have it here. And so what we should see here is nested. Oh, this will be interesting. We'll see what this does. Test.nested test. How do I come up with the name? Of the parameter? Is it just like that? I don't know. We're going to find out. Okay, so first thing is, what does this actually do? It fails, which is fine. How does it fail? Oh, it doesn't. I'm kind of curious. How did I end up doing that? To camel case. Ah! I wondered if I had done that. Okay. Actually, this is another to-do. Okay, so sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. In use, because that's a newer thing. Although I want to put a point here if I can't do that, because and you use a source generator within a source generator. You should, because you're just source generating something that your package will then use when it ships. But so this does work. So we can take off here, this. Optimize calling. Never ends. Isn't that so true? It never ends. But we can get rid of this. Which is cool. Oh, fine. It shouldn't matter. And it's correct. So one failed. Why did it fail? Did I never change the... Yeah, I never changed it. I got so excited about it, and then I never went back and changed it. There, okay. Get commit 16 ensured nested types are visited. Okay, cool. Next part. Let's see if we can do this. And then we'll do this. So properties here is our property symbol model. This again is the sadness around records, because I want to be able to have a custom what I want to say is like have a camel case name here, but I can't do it because well, I guess what I have to do now is force the caller to give it to me, but whatever. So then let's find everywhere that breaks. Here, p.name to camel case. And let's move some of that over. And then we can say camel case. No. There. It says I'm doing it 3 times. Ah, there's the 3rd time. There. So now we take that out. And now we run the tests here. And it all works. Okay. 16 removed. Multiple to camel. Why do it multiple times when you only need to do it once? Now, can we... I have to look up how you actually do it. C# regex source generator. You know, did you just see what it did there? I don't know if anybody's watching, but I immediately just scanned right over Copilot. Take that for how it is. It's because, yeah. I think you can now put it on a property or something like that. Yeah. I want to put it on a property. And I mean, I know you can because you can see it here. It says property. It doesn't really help. They don't really give good examples here. Would be nice if they had usage. So if I understand this right, we could say yeah, we can't because there is no. Yeah, as soon as I thought about it, that's added in .NET 7. That's not part of .NET Standard 2.0. So again, note that we can't use generated regex here because that's .NET 7 and now, is it possible, as soon as I type that, I don't see anybody talking about it. You know how sometimes you can, I think I actually do that here in AutoDeconstruct. Yeah, is external init. You can put this attribute, or I'm sorry, not attribute, you can put this class in your code and basically do a polyfill. And this is needed for, I think, if you want to use the init keyword on your properties. And so that works. Okay, so we can just basically say no on that. I'm going to move this one up. We're going to look at this one right now because we know we can do it. So we have an analyzer here. So let's put an analyzer in AutoDeconstruct analyzer. We have a pattern we can copy pasta from. Auto. Okay. Lots of copy pasta. So we want to override that. And we will be doing a lot of stuff within it. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. So now we need a descriptor. Cannot combine attributes. Okay, so then what do one of these look like? Excuse me. Ah, okay. Auto 1. Cannot combine AutoDeconstruct and no AutoDeconstruct. Cannot combine attributes. And we're going to have to add docs. Again, you just build on one thing and it just keeps on making more, doesn't it? Okay, so we need the help URI builder. Can that be smart enough? No, what keystroke is that? Okay, and then we need diagnostic constants. Nope. Yes. Yes. Okay, cool. All right, so that got that done. We're going to want to make a docs folder, though. Because if we look at how the help URL, yeah, auto deconstruct. So we put in docs. Actually, let's open what we do on rocks. I'll say file save as. Auto 1 cannot combine attributes. combine attributes. A type cannot use AutoDeconstruct and no AutoDeconstruct at the same time. Auto1 person public int uint age get init Okay, that's the intent. And I mean, you look at it and it makes no sense. The thing I just thought about is, does it even make sense to make an analyzer on this? Because I think the way the code would work right now is that you either put it on the type, AutoDeconstruct. If you put it on the type, like, we don't look for this attribute for the analyzer in terms of creating code. What we do is we look for this on the type. If it's there, we construct the deconstruct method. If it's at the assembly level, we do it for all types unless it has this on it. And so if this is at the assembly level, this being at the type level doesn't matter. We ignore it. This being at the type level, we ignore this. It doesn't matter. It just looks weird. But is it really worth putting in all the effort to do this analyzer? No, I don't think it is. I'm actually going to back this out because what I do want to do is put a test in. So let's do that. I think that's better. I mean, it would have been, you know, I guess fun for some definition of fun, but and then we need to take the doc away. Let's see, repos. Yep. Okay, so what we want to do though is when both, we don't care if it's a class. So I'm going to take that off. We're going to put this like that. And this should actually fail because we should be seeing code, right? And so I know this is not going to be correct, so I'm going to have to change it. Failed. Huh. That was surprising. It's not excluded. Oh. Yeah, I forgot about that. Do we care? We do if it's at the assembly level. Now we would care. Yeah. Oh, is this just... Ah. Really? Well, wait, what is this? Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong one. Yes. Okay. Git commit 16. Ignore at the when is at the type level. Okay, so that takes care of that. Oh, we're getting closer. This one is, I think, easy to do. But it is... Well, no, I mean, if you use generated regex, you have to make your type partial. If you use... if you use generated regex, then it's okay to make your type partial. You have to, because it does the implementation for you. Is this quite correct, though, to say, well, if you put this on a partial type, then I will put it on a partial type? Whereas if we just say we're always going to make this as a static like an extension method, regardless of whether you are partial or not. It is more consistent to keep it as just a static extension method, I think. I am curious about one thing I just want to check real quick. Yeah, so for each type, we're building the namespace scope, and you can do that within, you can say namespace. I believe you can. namespace B, namespace A again. Yeah. But yeah, you can do that. Source file cannot contain both file scoped and... Of course, this isn't quite the same thing. A. Yeah, it's got something, but this is perfectly legal. So I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Let's not try to say, hey, if it's a partial class, now that's interesting. Because we're doing this for a given type, but we make the class partial. Why would we do that? I mean, I don't think it hurts anything, but I don't think it's necessary either. Because we're only going to do this per type. So why would you have the need to do this? I don't think you do. Now that's going to break all of my tests because now they're looking for the generated code, for example. So we would need to change all these. Yeah. So give me a moment here. Yeah, looking at that, that was kind of weird. Why did I have these as partial? It doesn't make any sense. Because you're only going to generate this once for this type. And we put it in the same namespace because we want it to be easily accessible. Kind of like what I'm doing with rocks. All the generated code is put into the same namespace, but we technically are not looking out for name collisions here. So that is another thing to and then we could just say it's text extension 2. We don't really care about the name of it. Having it in the same namespace, I think, just helps. It's easier for discovery. So let's keep moving here. And you see, that's fine. They're two separate ones. So. That's not a test thing. Okay, so now let's run these tests. And they all pass. So we basically said removed partial on the generated extension type. Okay, so that's done, but we added another thing. Which is if there is a collision on the type name, we don't want to collide. Now, I know I have in rocks that ability. It's one thing to know it. It's another thing to remember where the hell I put it. Nope. Duplicate expectations name and namespace. So I do it. You can see here, if you had a class called this, we we put in a 2. And ours is simpler because all we have to do is it's just one spot here. So now I just have to figure out where do I actually do that work. It's in the builders. Expectations name. So we say we want to call it so we get methods. Yeah, right here is where we're actually doing it. And so we go to the expectations name. Wait. Sorry, I forgot the keystroke for a second. So this is where we actually do it. And so it would be simpler than this, but we need to do something that basically says we want to get the existing type. And once we can't find it, in other words, once we return something that is not null, or something that is null, then we know we have a name that's unique. And so self here is compilation. So if we come back to AutoDeconstruct, because we can't capture a compilation, we're going to need to put it on this is the only spot that we do it. Okay, so let's force that. Let's go into type symbol model. Naming is hard. String, name, expectations, name. Now it's going to cause us to fail, which is fine. So now we come into here and we say when we build, we take the containing namespace and the name. I think we want the fully qualified name here. That's my guess. Okay, so we have the fully qualified name, right? We have to get that. Fully qualified name is equal to that. Yeah, now this gets tougher. Collisions and naming is hard. Because this fully qualified name is the name of the type, and that's what we use. We don't change that. All we're looking to do is see and see, this makes it easy because we can just say use the stuff that's in the Roslyn machinery to come up with this. Do I really care about this? Part of me is saying, yes, Jason, you should care about it. There's another part of me that's going, no, I don't care. I really, really don't care. I guess maybe that's why I made those types partial, because then I could say, well, if you made that extension type because again, no matter what you do with the source generator, you can always screw it up. Like if a source generator says, I'm going to generate a name, a full name with this, somebody could just go in and say, ha ha ha, I'm going to screw you over and put this in there, you know. It's also one of those things of, do I really care until it happens? You know? Because, yeah, to do all this, well, wait a minute. Yeah, this is going to be a static class, so we don't care about the number of generics. So in our case, it would be the namespace, what's called the flatten named here, which is essentially just the I was like, why is partial matter here? Oh, it's because in the case of rocks, we're allowing you to specify an attribute on a type as long as it's partial. And then that is the name, and that's what we extend and put all the types on. So we don't have to worry about generating a duplicated name because we know that is going to be the type you're looking for. But in this case, all we care about is that we get the namespace and the name of the type. And so what we want here is string extension name, which we don't know what that is. So we have accessibility, containing namespace, name, and then here we want extension name. Okay. Now, we want to do something sort of like this. Let's actually, we know that's the... Okay, so those are the names of the types. So those are okay. We can do that. So we don't need that nonsense. We'll put that there. And we're going to say var contain. So it gets the namespace for the nearest enclosing namespace. I think, yeah, we need to be a little bit more precise. Okay, so that gets us a containing namespace. So now we can say if the namespace is null, it's just type.name. Right? Which we're calling flat name here, but that just... Would it be so nice to compilation. So now here, okay, so we're starting to get there. So now we need to throw in this nonsense. Don't really care about that. If the compilation, if we can see it, that's fine, I guess. And now what we do is we say ID. And so then there. And so now we take this and we say that. Extension name. That's what we want. Okay, so now we can come over to the builder here and we can say this is type name, extensions name, and we're done. Now this shouldn't break any of our current tests. Shouldn't be in the operative word. Oh yeah, we got to pass in the compilation. Actually, since we need the cap period up here, let's say our compilation is equal to that. And then we can do this. And then here we can just pass that in. And then say that. You're a genius, Jason. Yeah, we don't need that all there. Okay, so little adjustment. That's okay. When we do this up here, okay, I was wrong. We want our extension name is equal to this part. And then we just stick that in here. And then here we say the name is now ID. And we put this like that. And now the extension name is what we're passing in here. There. Okay, now what we need is a test for naming. And so what we want to do is just grab something simple. Fine, whatever, we'll just do that one. Generate with duplicate extension name. So we're just going to make this a public int ID. Change that to ID. ID. Okay, except here, what we want is a public class, and it doesn't even need to be an extension or static. It just needs to be the same name, test extensions. And so now we need that to be 2. And it failed. Why did it fail? Oh, I actually did the right thing. Yeah, cool. All right, so that now works. If we run into the case where we do find a type that matches, we will change it to 2. Stupid. Very rare would that ever happen, but okay, cool. So we are getting close, I think, now to the end of all this. This one I can do off camera. This is... And arguably, do I really even need it? I mean, it would be nice in some ways, but it'd also, I think, be a little confusing. Because we already have... at assembly level. And then if I look at this, oh no, it's the no auto deconstruct. That's the case. And so here we don't do it. Yeah. So I'm kind of like, you know, we don't really need that. This is the only one that's left. And this is one I'm still debating in my head. And what this is, is the fact that we look at excluded types. And so what we're trying to do is find, is there an extension method out there for this type? I believe we are already here when we get the model. Is we filter if you have no AutoDeconstruct, but then we also look at the type itself and say there is a method existing on that type. So we say if there's no accessible properties, or there is a method called deconstruct that isn't static, and actually this isn't quite correct because it should return void. But, and it isn't static. And now in this case, we have the same number of parameters and all of them are out. So there is an existing instance deconstruct and we ignore it. So we're already filtering on that. The thing is, when you're at the, whether you put it on a type or whether you put it at the assembly, technically you really want to make sure that there are no other existing deconstruct methods. Arguably, this search takes a little bit extra time. If we didn't have to do this, then we wouldn't have to look at every method and do this kind of work. And in the vast majority of cases, you're not going to be worried about, was a static deconstruct method made somewhere else? So that's what this feature is to say, put on AutoDeconstruct a way to say, search for extension methods, yes. And by default, it would be no. And so what this would do is we'd pass that flag into here. And so we do this.types.add. And this equals that, because the add has the side effect of adding the type to it. And if it was already there, we would just not do the other thing. And so that way we could say, only if you want to search for all extension methods would we do it. And by default, I would actually say, let's not do it. So let's do this. Let's do this. And this is going to be public enum. Yes, I know. Allows the user to search for deconstruct extension methods. By default, AutoDeconstruct will not do this, as most users as it's not typical for developers to create AutoDeconstruct extension methods. Do not search for extension methods. Search. Okay, cool. And then we're going to come down to, we don't care about the no. So now we need a public AutoDeconstruct search for extension methods. Search equals no. This dot search is equal to search. Public search extension methods search. I think that's all I need. Yep. Okay. Creates a new instance, specifies if AutoDeconstruct should search for existing deconstruct extension methods. The default is cref search no. Come on, there you go. Gets the search extension methods search value. Fine, that's good enough. Okay. Now what we need to do is in the generator we got to pull that out. And I know how to do that. So we get the attribute data. That's what we're doing here. And now we want to get... Whoops, where am I? Should search for extension methods. Should... And we want to do that on the 0th value. And so that has to be on collected types. Well... It's a little tricky here because if it's at the assembly level, arguably you should not be putting AutoDeconstruct on a type then. It's redundant and it actually makes us do more work. So really don't want to do that. Now the thing that's interesting about this is that the generator context target symbol, the symbol that is the attribute is attached to. And so this is the whole context. And so it doesn't make sense that you would, that Rosin would give you, would call for attribute with metadata name where the context could switch, because you could have an attribute that says, I can target a type, I can target a method, I can target the assembly. And so I think in the case where you have assembly level attributes, this would only for us be called once, because you can only apply it once per target. And so in either case, for the assembly case, we definitely want to get all of the types, and we want to say, do we exclude them here? So we could say here, if the target type is a symbol, we would get the collected types here. If it's this, it's a little different. We don't care about actually collecting types. We only care about collecting excluded types. And we only care about doing that if they asked us to. So I think this collector, this code has to be broken out, or this whole visitor has to be broken out a little bit. And that we don't need to like in the case of this, Jesus Christ, my kid is laughing at a joke, and he tends to laugh quite loudly. So if it's at the assembly level, this ends up actually just being for the assembly. If we want to do it at the type level, we only do that search if they want us to. Otherwise, we won't even do it. And so that saves a lot, actually, I think. So let's do a little bit of surgery here. Assembly types collector. And we only want to do this here. But we also want to pass in search and so okay. So now we come down to here. And this dot search is equal to yes. Well, no. We have to do this because we are searching for nested types. Okay. And this just captured this. This goes through all the types, which could be nested types. So I think we could do a little bit better here. Maybe what we say here is we say, God, stop helping. If, oh my God. If we want to search, then we do this. And then we take this off of here. Now, if we don't, this is where I do what I was doing before, which is you still got to look at type members. This is a much more focused search because this is saying only get me the nested ones. But that's not quite true. Well, if we're saying we want to search here, we know this will get nested members. It will also get all like the properties and methods and stuff like that on this. Okay. Actually, what we could do is say we always search for nested types, but now only in the case where the name is deconstruct. What does it get number? It gives you a symbol. So now let's think about this. If we come in here and we say we added the type, now we want to look, make sure we get all the nested types. Cool. If we get a nested type in here that doesn't have a nested type, or a type that didn't have nested types, we'd skip over this. And then we say, well, if you want to look for extension methods, then what we're going to do is go through the type that we have and go through its type members where the name of it has deconstruct, because that has to be the right name. And it also has to be of type method symbol. If that is true, then we will pass it through this. And then we do this work. So we're being a little bit smarter here. Okay. Now, here is a different story. We just want an excluded types collector. But we have to do it assembly wide. But we don't care about capturing types. We only care about capturing so what we want out of this is just a flag. We want to say, here's the target type, here's the assembly symbol. And if we call it, we're assuming that we are searching for it. We would not be doing this if they didn't want to do it. Let's call it a visitor. And then we need to say is type excluded visitor. Which is basically like this. But we're going to change it. And so what we really want is private read-only I type symbol target type. Don't really care about that. And I don't really care about this. We just say visit. We don't care about that. And so now we don't care about this. And so now we're just checking to see, I guess we could make this a name type symbol. And what we want here is a bool is excluded. Right, we're just doing excluded types. We don't do a... what we want to do here, though, is say symbol quality compare default equals. Does this equal this dot target type? Because if it does... I guess we could do this. And that. So if the parameter type equals the type that we're targeting, then we found one. And I think we could basically say here, if not this is excluded, then we need to keep searching. But once we find one, it doesn't matter. We're done. We can stop. We don't need to look at any more. So at least we can, that may still make us go through all of them, but at least we can stop at a certain point. Now, if search is equal to, we don't search, or new is excluded, is type excluded visitor, token is excluded, so either we're not looking for extension methods or we're not excluded. Then we do the model. Okay, so all of this should not have broken anything that we've done before. Should not have, but it did. 3 broke. This is why we do what, folks? We write tests. Generate where out parameter. So now we're saying we're auto-deconstructing on the types, but we're not searching. What are you doing? Oh my God. Run test. Thank you. Jeez. Maybe I was doing ET. Yeah, I was doing ET. Okay, my fault. My bad. I was doing the wrong thing. Okay, this is interesting. We should have still found it. Because this is not an extension method. This is just on the type itself. So we should probably still get up to here. And we do. And we have... It's not empty. Well, I guess I could use deconstruct there. Oh, that... I think that's what broke it. Yeah, okay. So it actually did break tests, but it broke them in the right way because we weren't doing a full search anymore. Nice. Okay, so let's... Okay, cool. So now let's... and search is requested. Because now if we do this, the default case was not to do it. And so what's going to happen is we're actually going to generate code. But I think this is going to generate code that causes a compilation failure. Because we're not going to find a match to the name here, which we would just say test extensions to, but we're going to do a deconstruct here. And what this would end up doing is confusing the hell out of the compiler if you tried to call it. So I think this will run, and you'll see that you'll generate it. But now this becomes a runtime thing, where if you try to actually do a deconstruction, are we going to get confusion? And I think you might. Like if we came into Sharp Lab, and let's do this. Okay. And now we say var ID. Let's put a value in there just to make it explicit. Out string ID, out string value. So we should see 3.3. Var test equal to new test. ID is equal to 2. ID value. And now take your sweet time. You know, I really, really love Sharp Lab. I've always enjoyed it, but when it... Oh, I forgot that. I'm not trying to save. I keep hitting save, and I'm not trying to save. But yeah, it is really struggling as of the last year, and it's an open source project, and it's like I really try not to complain about it too hard, because it's the work, just like I do and other people do, that is just work that anybody does, right? If I put a value there. It's just, it's so convenient. I just wish it would work, you know? So I don't have the patience for this. Okay, so let's just a And now we come in and we say test extension. Yeah, now it's confused. It goes, it's ambiguous. But that's because you decided not to search. If you decided to search, then we wouldn't have created that second one. We would have used what's there. So, you know, buyer beware. Okay, I think let's do this. Let's put a test in here. And search is requested async. The reason why I do this is because I want to do that, except put in my own extension method. So we're looking at the assembly level, and what we're going to find is something stupid like that, but we're going to create one. Actually, we won't. So this is the case where we shouldn't actually be doing anything, right? Yep. Did the right thing. We're searching and we don't find anything. By the way, if you're new to the channel and you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We greatly appreciate it, trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So please subscribe. All right. I think this one is good. Let me do the shutdown start up again so we can reload the integration test one and make sure that all works. Yepers. Cool. Guess what, folks? I am almost done with this. Added a way to enable searching for deconstruct extension. By request. Default is not to do it. Okay, cool. All right. I think I'm at the point where the only thing left is docs, and I don't want to do that on a stream because that's watching somebody code is arguably boring, though I don't find it boring. I like watching people code. Kind of interesting to see how other people's minds work on stuff. But just this one updating the docs, I just want to make sure that it's now reflective of what all this work has done. So I'm I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with where this ended up because, again, now we're at the point where if I do something like this, and I know there's squiggles here, but it runs. You can see that this is also just the fun of how source generators are referenced by other projects, and it does get a little squirrely. But it does work and it does exist. Like if I run this test, you can see it passes. And so the fun thing is, generate method deconstruct. Don't need you. I don't need you because I actually did generate one. It's just hard to get to it. Yeah, it's not showing the generated code, even though it's there. It's one of those fun things about how source generators work in projects, but it does work. So, again, the nice thing about all this is that now I'm doing this, and I'll end the stream with this one, which is this, and you can see this in the Markdown file. This link was from like a year or two ago where I was talking about AutoDeconstruct and the fact that I found it a case where using for attribute with metadata name is, it feels like it's extra work. Whereas if you're referencing my project, referencing the NuGet package, you're saying, I want it to create deconstruct methods for everything. And I didn't get into call it an argument. It was a, I think it was a friendly argument with some folks in the Microsoft team basically disagreeing with me. And, it stuck with me because I'm like, well, I don't like that AutoDeconstruct would have to be put on as an attribute. But long story short, the sheer fact is if you're doing a source generator, you have to use for attribute with metadata name, or and this is where again they would disagree with me, but it's like, or you have to be very explicit to say this source generator could be slow, because if you're not using for attribute with metadata name, it can be slow for what you're searching for. So you have to be you have to target this way of doing it if at all possible. And the one thing I'm all for it, even if I've heard people say, oh, it's now I got to put an attribute here or that's more work, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it's really not, all I have to do is put this on this type and it generates the deconstruct for me. And if I add another property here, it will add it with that property automatically. I don't have to regenerate it. It does it for me automatically. And if I do want to do it for every type within my assembly in my project, I can put that at the assembly level and it will just work. But you opt in by choosing to put that attribute in your code. I just wish you could put attributes at method invocations or put them in within method bodies. You can't do that. And that's been the case since day one of .NET. If you could do that, I think that would actually make some things even more interesting. But I think that would require a change to like the assembly format and how attributes are stored and all that other stuff. I think long story short is that would get pretty squirrely and require a pretty big investment to do that. So we can't. But in any event, this now works with using attributes, and I can eventually, sometime this weekend, I'm going to do a release and put a new version of AutoDeconstruct out there on NuGet so that people can give this a whirl. And I'm going to put in that Discord channel, like, hey, in case you're curious or if you ever remember this conversation, I've now released this so it does use for attribute with metadata name. And hopefully it's better. So with that, I am going to stop the stream. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Trying to get to that magical marker of 1,000 subscribers. So Getting close, but not quite there yet. So please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I will probably do some Splinter Cell streaming this afternoon and tomorrow, and I may do another code stream tomorrow morning, depending on how I feel, and working on some other stuff, because like I say all the time, there's always new things to work on. There's always something to do with coding, and that's why I like it. So with that, I'm going to stop the stream. Thank you all for watching. Take care, and I hope to see you in the future.